This tutorial is about intervallic recognition, and we're going to start off here by looking at our chromatic scale. When we're talking about intervals, we're talking about the distance between two notes. Every note in this chromatic scale has a particular distance to the first note, C. Let's take a look at each of those intervals so we can see the possibilities, and I'll play each interval so you can hear what it sounds like. If we take the first note C and we simply play it again, that's said to be unison. So there's no intervallic distance here, it's the same note. Now if we move from that C to the next note, the C sharp, that's a minor second. If we go from the C to the D, skipping the C sharp, that's a major second. C to the E flat is a minor third. C to the E natural is a major third. C to F, we call that a perfect fourth. C to F sharp, we'll refer to that here as an augmented fourth. It's also sometimes referred to as a tritone. It has an intervallic distance equivalent of 6 half steps. Moving on, we get the note G, which is a perfect fifth from the C. Next, we get the minor sixth, and then the major sixth, then we have the minor seventh, the major seventh, and finally we end up with the octave. So now that you know the intervallic possibilities, what are some strategies we can use to recognize them when we hear them? Well, I'll put forth 2 strategies here. The first one is to associate the interval with a popular melody. This melody can come from a song in the public domain, it could come from something currently on the radio that you're familiar with, or it can come from a children's nursery song, for example. As long as it's something familiar to you, you'll be able to form a strong association with it. Here are some examples of songs you can use for intervallic association. So unison, Jingle Bells, minor second, White Christmas, major second, Happy Birthday, minor third, Georgia on My Mind, major third, When the Saints Go Marching In, perfect fourth, Here Comes the Bride, augmented fourth, Maria from West Side Story, perfect fifth, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, minor sixth, Black Orpheus, major sixth, the well-known NBC theme, minor seventh, Somewhere from West Side Story, major seventh, Take on Me, and the octave, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So what do I mean by associating these intervals with these melodies? Well, let's take Here Comes the Bride, for example, which starts off with a perfect fourth. So that interval right there, a C to an F, is a perfect fourth. So in our ear training exercises, if I play you this note, and then I play you this note, one way you can identify that interval is by associating it with the opening notes of the song Here Comes the Bride. Let's take another example. Let's take the perfect fifth, which here we're using Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So the perfect fifth sounds like this. And Twinkle Twinkle Little Star goes. Those are the opening notes of it. So use these songs, or any other song that has a familiar melody to you that you know the starting interval of, to form an association with. Now the second strategy has to do with the concept of moving to adjacent notes and seeing if you can find your way back to the tonic. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's take these 2 notes. Da, da. Now if I'm trying to guess that interval, I might try to find a note adjacent to the second note which I played here, which is an F. For example, the major third. And work my way back down to the tonic. So if I was given this interval, I might try to sing da 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 da. And this helps me to find the position of that second note in the scale. Since I know that the fourth degree in a major scale is a half step distance from the major third, this helps me to identify that second note as a perfect fourth. How about if I had this interval? Da da. In this case, I might try to find an adjacent note to that second note. Da 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 da. And for me, that helps me to recognize the intervallic distance here as a minor sixth, because I hear that minor sixth resolving down to the perfect fifth and then back to the tonic. So of course here, you still have to know what those adjacent notes are. I have to know that that's a perfect fifth leading its way back to the tonic. But if your sense of a perfect fifth is strong, this is something that can help you. So keep these two strategies in mind as we move on to our exercises in the next video.